everyone.
Good evening.
I'd like this meeting to come to order. And first we'll start with the adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
This now. I'd like to make a I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
Okay,
A voice vote will be taken for all items that require a vote. Just please answer yes or no. Anderson,
Yes.
Lapine, Lindsay,
yes.
Miller, Mobley,
Yes.
Singleton,
Yes.
Venagopal. Motion passed.
Next on the agenda is the public hearing enterprise fund budget with Linrick Golf Course.
No one signed up.
So next we'll go to the minutes.
Madam Chairman, I would bring that to a close since that's a legal thing.
Okay.
You just state that it's, the public hearing is closed, no one spoke.
Okay, the public hearing enterprise fund budget is closed because no one signed up for comment. Next, we'll go on to the minutes. I request the board to approve the minutes from the October 18th, 2021 regular board meeting and the November 1st, 2021 special call board meeting. A motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the October 18th, 2021 regular board meeting and the November 1st, 2021 special call board meeting.
Second.
Roll call. Anderson,
Yes.
Lapine,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Miller, Mobley,
Yes.
Singleton,
Yes.
Venagopal. Motion passed.
Okay. Next is the public input. I believe we have 2 people to participate.
Yes, we do. Mr. Jerry Odom, and he will be participating via Zoom.
Madam Chair, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes I can.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I'd like to thank you and the commission for allowing me to speak tonight. I first came to the commission meeting in April to ask for your help in trying to do something about Park Lane Tennis Center, which is across the street from the Richland County Recreation Commission. It's in very bad shape, as most of you know. I felt like I got a very sympathetic hearing, but the basic philosophy was, or the basic answer was, we simply don't have the funds right now. And so I decided to go to Richland County Council, and I enlisted the help. I am the chair of the Facilities Committee for the Columbia Tennis League and Columbia Tennis Association. And as such, I received a lot of comments about facilities throughout the county and the city. And I was receiving most of the comments about Park Lane Tennis Center. So when the commission said we would like to help you, but we have no funds, I enlisted my friend and my colleague and a fellow tennis player, Shirley Mills, and we actually went and talked to Mr. Paul Livingston, chair of county council, and then we got involved with the entire county council. And in the end, we were able to get, with Paul's help and with Shirley did, I have to say, the heavy lifting on this. We got an allocation, special allocation of $325,000 for the Park Lane Tennis Center. And I am so happy that we're moving forward with that, because I get calls and emails from Columbia Tennis League, Columbia Tennis Association, and even recreational players complaining about Park Lane. And now recently it's come out that there is asbestos there, and that's come out because we were trying to go to the USTA National for a grant to help with that facility. So I'm here tonight basically to thank you for allowing us to move forward, to thank County Council, and in a very few minutes, I'd just like to say something about the low bidder here. I don't know anybody with that company and have no affiliation with the company, but as chair of the Facilities Committee, I travel to other facilities within the state, and I can tell you that I went to Florence, talked to their pro. They have a very nice facility there that attracts a lot of tournaments, and he had praise for Signature Tennis. I also went to Camden. They have 3 facilities there, the Camden Tennis Center, Scott Park, and Rectory Square Park. They had another company do their course to start with. They just not do a satisfactory job. They went to Signature, and they are very, very happy there. Casey recently had 6 courts done by Signature. Greenview Park, which Ms. Mills can talk to more, also had work done by Signature. So I think the low bidder here is an outstanding company with outstanding work on facilities, and I'm sure they will do a wonderful job at Park Lane. And with that, I'd like to turn this over to Ms. Shirley Mills, who has just been so helpful. I can't tell you how much. Shirley?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I start, may I ask if you can hear me, because I'm having trouble hearing on this end.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the commission, and staff, I echo Jerry in thanking you all for giving us this opportunity to come before you, simply to say thank you for helping us to get to this point. I won't repeat everything that Jerry has said, but it's been a long process, and it's been something that the entire tennis community has been involved in. Jerry as chair of the facilities committee and myself as a member of the facilities committee were intimately involved with the whole funding process through Richland County. We'd like to thank Richland County Council for providing this special funding. And I will simply add to what Jerry said, that we want to thank the staff of Richland County Recreation Commission, especially Mr. Matt Chrisman, for moving this process forward. And tonight, we're simply here to urge the commission to act as quickly as you possibly can to provide the final approval that staff needs to get this project moving. We have already had some rather bad press on Park Lane. We don't want any more bad press, But more importantly, we do not want any members of the community to get hurt, and even worse, at Park Lane. And that is our flagship tennis center in Richland County. And we cannot, we can't express to you any stronger the urgency in getting this project started. And as Jerry mentioned, we are pleased that Signature is the company that provided the low bid. I had the opportunity to play on some courts out at Greenview a couple of weeks ago that Signature had just finished. I think I might have been the first person to get to play on those courts, and they were fabulous. They did a fine job. So everyone in the tennis community seems really happy and excited that Signature is going to possibly do the work at Park Lane. And I urge you to do whatever you can, whatever is in your power to get this project moving along quickly. Thank you very much. We'll certainly answer any questions that any of you may have.
Ms. Marble?
She's still on there?
Mhm.
Can you hear me? Ma'am?
Ms. Mills?
Madam Chair, I'm not sure if others can hear, but I cannot hear any of the discussion, so,
We're gonna work on that, just a minute. It's on. No. Ms. Mills, can you hear me? Ms. Mills? Okay, she can't. Ms. Mills, can you hear me now? Ms. Mills, Mr. Odom? Can
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay, Ms. Mills? You still can't hear me?
Can I answer any questions?
No, sir. I think we all approve and agree with you. We're just trying to have a little technical difficulty for, Ms. Mills, can you hear me yet? No.
I can hear you now.
Oh, great.
I just got some volume, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to thank Mr. Odom and Ms. Mills because they were very effective in getting us money from Richland County Council, and they're very concerned about the tennis courts and all of the programs here. Tonight, the Signature tennis courts will come up for bids, and we'll let you know for approval, and we will definitely get back with you on that. And thank you for recommending them also.
And I got one question.
Oh, sure.
So, is either for Ms. Mills or Dr. Odom, it's fair to say that there's less than a handful of contractors that can handle this kind of job in the Southeast or all over the United States? Would that be a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's just important for us to know as a board that there's just not that many people that do this kind of work. And I was intimately involved with the beginning of this process, and we had bids north of $600. I think we'd estimated that it might cost over $600,000 or $700,000. So I think that we were very delighted to find somebody of this quality that could do the job at the price we're going to be getting it at, if I'm not mistaken.
If I could just add to that, one of the things that was discovered when we were working on a USDA grant for Park Lane is that there is asbestos there. And I know that Signature Tennis, according to Mr. Chrisman, is well aware that there is asbestos, that their treatment will encapsulate that, and so it will no longer be a problem. And I would like to say that in looking at the bid that I saw from Signature, they have an entire page of references. They've done the Clemson University tennis courts, they've done Georgia Tech tennis courts, and others that I mentioned, and a host of others. So they are well qualified, and I appreciate that question.
Thank you very much for your hard work on all this.
Thank you.
And that is on the agenda tonight for approval or disapproval. So I just want to let you know we are working on it. And we also do have a report about the Vestas. And that's included in our program tonight also. So thank you both very much, and we hope we'll be getting back with you positively pretty soon.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Does that include the public input?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, we'll have the financial report.
Our CFO will be joining us via Zoom this evening. He's actually across the street. However, he's a little under the weather and would prefer to be separated. And no, he's not positive, but would prefer not to be a distraction for the meeting. So he is on. Ryan?
Thank you for that, Ms. Watson. Before I start the presentation, I just want to confirm that you can see the slides and hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Good evening to Chair Lindsay and members of the Commission Board. I'd like to begin tonight by providing you with an update on the general and enterprise fund financials for the period July 1 through October 31st, 2021. Total revenues for general fund for the 4-month period is $1.45 million compared to $1.25 million around this time last year. Represents a $193,000 increase in revenues, or approximately a 15.4% increase. Program revenue was the largest driver for this increase, mostly because of COVID-related decrease in program revenue in early fiscal year 21. The categories of program revenue where we saw the greatest increase were person rental revenue. We saw a $76,000 increase. Recreational youth camp revenue, we saw a $65,000 increase. And athletic and recreational program revenues, we saw together a $49,000 increase. General fund expenditures for this period are $4.6 million compared to $4.26 million around this time last year. Represents an approximately 8.1% increase from this time last year, or a $346,000 increase. The biggest driver for that increase would be capital improvement expenditures, followed by programming expenditures. For the capital improvement expenditures, Chair Lindsay did request a breakdown of specific expenditures that drove that increase. I have provided transaction level detail to Ms. Cornelia Watts. So she has that information available for you tonight. For enterprise fund, revenues for the current period were $362,000 compared to $353,000 this time last year. Represents approximately 2.6% increase from this time, or $9,000. Food and beverage and merchandise sales were the drivers for this increase. And total enterprise fund expenditures for this period were $333,000 compared to $293,000 this time last year. And that represents approximately a 13% increase, or a $39,500 increase. The largest driver for that increase was depreciation expense for purchased golf carts and capital outlay expense. For the depreciation expense, I should note that previously we leased those carts, and it was treated as an operating lease. So those carts were not depreciated. That's the end of the financial slides. Are there any questions?
On your general fund report, you have
Okay.
it as the net revenue in the bottom, the two bottom ones, they are in the red. Can you explain that?
Yes, that's largely due to the timing where we receive our tax revenue. We typically receive our tax revenue at various points throughout the fiscal year, with the bulk of that, and Ms. Watson, please correct me if I'm wrong, coming in January.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, the bulk of the funds that we get from the county come in January. However, in the month of December, you'll get a forecast from our CFO and myself that shows you exactly where we are and what we're forecasting, and if any changes need to be made, and if we have any concerns. At this point, we currently do not. However, when we come to that meeting in December, we'll be more specific and can share with you where we see ourselves trending.
If you look at the prior year actuals, you can see that at this point last year, we were also in the red this time of year. However, we did finish the fiscal year with a surplus. So, total revenue did exceed total expenditures for general fund.
Did anyone else have any questions on this report?
I'd like to talk to him. When can I talk to you one-on-one?
I'd be happy to sit down with you anytime. If you would like to either call or shoot me an email, we can schedule a time to meet,
Okay.
either face-to-face or via Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Madam Chair?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just have a question for clarification on the fleet expenses. Now, the fleet expenses, are we talking about the golf carts and vehicles that operate on the road, or is that a combination? I'm confused. Where do the golf carts find themselves, and then also where do the actual four-tired vehicles that are used on the road, where are they? Those expenses?
So the golf carts, they will be under the enterprise fund financials under fleet expense. For the general fund, are governmental type business expenditures, and that would not include our golf carts.
Okay, so I will find the depreciated value for the golf carts under the LINREC budget for fleet expenses. That's where you refer to fleet under the LINREC budget, correct? So when I look at
It's actually its own line item. If you look at the statement of revenues and expenditures that was provided, it's under depreciation expense under the enterprise fund.
So when I reviewed the budget for LINREC, when I saw the expenses for the golf cart, those were leased golf carts at the time, and I'm understanding correctly that we have purchased golf carts? So that's why we have a depreciated value there?
Yes.
Is that right? I just want to make sure, okay.
That's right.
Yes, once we purchase those golf carts, they are considered a capital asset and they are depreciated.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
time, I don't see any additional questions, but all board members have the same right as Commissioner Mobley has asked. If you would like to have something separate to specifically go through some questions, feel free to email or call Ryan and we can do so. This next budget is the enterprise budget, the golf budget. For action, the approval, as the board did vote at its November meeting to host a public hearing for the enterprise fund at Liverent. Today, that public hearing was held with no individuals signing up. We as a staff are requesting for the board to pass the Limerick enterprise budget at this evening's budget meeting to move the process forward. We're staying to answer any questions that the board may have.
I'll make a motion that we approve the budget as is for Linrich.
I'll second.
Roll call. Anderson.
Yes.
Lapine.
Yes.
Lindsay.
Yes.
Mobley.
No.
Singleton.
Yes.
Fennel.
Yes.
Motion passed.
So next we will have the unfinished business.
As per your request, Madam Chair, I provided the date that was available in December for the board's discussion regarding the retreat, and staff now stand ready if there are any other dates that you would like for us to move forward with confirming your retreat.
I believe we had one commissioner state that she was not able to come on that date, so I would recommend maybe we go with December 11th, which will be the following.
Unfortunately, I will not be available on December the 11th.
Okay, does it have to be on a Friday?
No, ma'am, I sent dates that were during the week and on the weekend. We're open to what works for the board.
Okay. Well, majority work, so I mean,
Hey, Don, can I make a suggestion?
sure.
Why don't you get a spreadsheet out, Donzetta, and then get it out to us, and let us check. And then you might not get everybody, and you're just gonna have to do what you think's best.
Okay, because we really need a retreat. And,
Right.
as soon as possible, for my concern, but I want everyone to be able to come.
Madam Chair, what usually could be done is giving you the authority to, pick a date that everyone can come as close as possible and have that be the date. So you don't have to keep voting for it, delay it, and you can get the date out, and get it on everybody's schedule.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sure.
if the December the 4th date works for the rest of the commission and I'm the only one that cannot be there, then please by all means, go ahead and meet on the 4th. I would ask if I could be invited via Zoom, but I don't know if that will work, or just not.
It depends on when we have the
Oh, okay.
meeting.
Well, now you got, well, please, if 6 are available, please don't stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you might not be the only one that's not available, so we'll take a poll and try to give another date as soon as possible with that. And if anyone has any recommendations, please let me know so we can proceed with that. Okay, move right along to the new business.
Madam Chair, the new business, we have our procurement manager that will be presenting to you 3 new contracts for your consideration. She will start with the tennis court renovations, then the multiple locations for the HVAC and the bunker repair. Cornelia, can you share with the board some additional photos that we have for them on these projects so they can see the assessed facilities and what they look like as to date? In addition, there were some questions about our processes and the RFP and where it is promoted, Vice Chair Bempel. There were some questions that you brought to my attention, some things that you looked at about the RFP process that you wanted to share.
Yeah, so, you know,
And what Corinne is sharing with you is just some additional information that shows you a visual of some of the facilities that we're discussing tonight.
Members of the board, you know, I've been talking with some of y'all, and I hear some of our concerns about the way that our bids are set out and processed. And there was a process to that that we voted on as a board not too long ago on the way that we were going to do procurement. And so in our packet, you know, we have this this RFP for the tennis courts. It talks about the manner in which the bid went out, and if you look at it, a number of times it comes up with our process, and our process is that we list things on the South Carolina Business Opportunities website. So I took it upon myself to research to see how easy or hard it is to use that website. And at any time, if you go online, whether it's with your smartphone or on a computer, you can type in South Carolina Business Opportunities and it'll go to their website. I don't know if you're able to pull it up here.
So from our website, you can look at the procurement. Can you walk them through?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. So if you go on the RCRC website, and you go to
John, her mic. Turn on her mic.
Okay, sorry. If you go to the purchasing at the top, click on procurement. Scroll down a little bit. Okay, first of all, this is the page where they can get the vendor registration form off of. They can click on that, get the vendor registration form, fill it out, send it to me with a W-9, and I put them in my database, and anything that comes up within their realm, I will email them specifically that solicitation. I also, when they email me information, I do send them the information for SCIBO, make sure that they register for minority-owned businesses, and so on. I give them all the information. So then if you just go and click on purchasing again, just click on the purchasing itself and scroll down. These are all the solicitations, all the amendments, all the intent of awards for everything that I have solicited out since I have started here at RCRC. You click on that red, whatever you want to pull up, and it will pull up the form for you. Double click it.
Madam Chair.
That one, of course.
Madam Chair. Can I speak? Ms. Shaw, is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Shaw.
Uh-huh.
I have a question for you. The three RFPs that are for our consideration tonight, by chance, are they on the website now?
Yes, ma'am, they are. Yes, ma'am. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it's on here. Because I just put them in order as it goes down.
Thank you.
And then I don't know if you want to type in SCIBO, just type in SCBO. Online edition. And this is the same website that state procurement, this is, all state agencies use this website. There's thousands of users that are registered on this website.
When I did procurement at the DMV, this is the same website we use. But they can click on there, they can see all these solicitations by group, by category. They can even go on here and register. I had a gentleman send me a registration form, and I advised him to go ahead and register on Skivo as well. And he said when he called Skivo, they were very helpful. He sent me an email back saying thanks. They were very helpful and got them all set up on Skivo. So it's very simple to get on and look at.
Thank you. I'd like to get a copy of that if possible, so we can do referrals to that site.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I have the websites also listed within each solicitation. So if you do have a copy of the solicitation, all those websites are in there as well.
Okay, I do have the copy of the purchasing one. I pulled it up for tonight.
Thank you, Cicely, for sharing. And now you can move on with the presentation.
So the first contract is the contract 0017, 2021, and that is for the tennis courts at Park Lane. All right, so we use the request for proposal for this one as well because it is a construction project. So we didn't just go with the lowest bidder. Like I said, that it was advertised on Skivo. It was advertised on the RCRC website on the 23rd of August. The questions on the solicitations were due to me on September 2nd by 12 o'clock. The bids were due to me on the 14th of September by 12 o'clock. Therefore, the solicitation was out there for 23 days. Between September 14th and September 23rd, that is when the RCRC employees did the grading. The intent of award was posted on 24 September on the RCRC website. This started the 10-day protest period, and RCRC did not receive any protest to this contract. 2 bids were received. The first one was Signature Tennis Courts from Woodstock, Georgia for $337,030. The second one was Sports Courts from North Carolina, and their bid was $378,504. There was a mandatory pre-bid meeting for this, and that was held. I had 2 different dates since it was mandatory. That way if vendors couldn't make it one day, they could make it the other day. And those were the only 2 vendors that showed up. You'll see here the grading. So Signature won by 70 points. Sports Courts Carolina had 52. Therefore, we ask that the board sign off on the contract for the winning bid of Signature Tennis Courts for $337.30. I'm sorry, $337,030.
Thank you, Cicely. So it's for the board's consideration, this contract.
I have a question on this. On the intent of award,
Yes, ma'am.
it was not signed. Tamika Williams' name is down here, but there's no signature on it.
It was signed on the
It's
website.
electronic,
Intent of
it was
award.
an electronic signature, so that's why I didn't print out.
Oh, okay.
Madam Chair.
As I look at the document, the way that it's set up, digitally signed by Tamika D. Williams on September 22nd, 2021. So that's why it's not due. Through this process, we're allowed to do digital signatures.
Is there any reason you didn't sign it as director?
Based on the policy, it is the executive director or her designee. At this point for the contract, she was my designee.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I have a question. When they
Speaking
made
of
the
mic,
pro-
speaking of
Can you hear me?
mic. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. I moved it out of the way, I'm sorry. When they gave their briefing, they said they got $325,000, correct? Okay, now signature tennis, they're doing it for $337,030. Where is the $1,230 come from?
Out of our regular operating funds towards our capital improvement. It is our contribution towards the project. It's a part of the 2021 approved budget, 2022 approved budget from the board.
Madam Chair, I have a question. My question too is a follow-up on the $12,030. So the $12,030 is going to be, has it already been included in the capital improvement expense on the statement of revenue and expenditure that we have to date? Or is it to be added later?
No, it was a part of our overall operating budget that was approved by the board early this year within a line item. I'm not sure, I don't have it in front of me whether we put it in capital outlay or capital improvements, but it's a part of our regular budget.
Okay, Madam Chair, I have a follow-up question for Ms. Watson. So how would it be included if we didn't know how much it was going to cost?
We had to make estimates based off of the issues that we knew that we were having. The tennis court, as we shared earlier, was not new. So our original bids that we received were a little over $600,000. Once Matthew came into the agency and we started working towards getting better numbers, this is where we came with this number that you have before you. And in addition, the funding was approved by the county, provided by the county, but we still have funds that were already approved.
Okay, Madam Chair, can I ask a follow-up? Okay, so the 12,000, I just want to make sure I understand where it's coming from. And so the documents that we've gotten so far, the $12,000 isn't documented in this projected budget that we have. You're not sure which line item it's in, whether it's in capital improvement or capital outlay, from which budget year?
From this current budget year, it was approved and it's a part of our funding within the property management line items. And it's not that I'm unsure that the funding was approved, I just don't have the line item in front of me to give it to you, but I can provide you with that.
Okay.
I think it's important to note, though, that Paul Livingston and the county council are the ones that came up with the $325,000 of a special allocation that they gave us, which I assume that they're going to want us to put something into it. And I guess, as you said, there is a line item, or there is something in our budget, a number that'll come out of, correct?
Yes.
Thank
Whether
you.
it's repairs or maintenance or capital improvement, we have several line items that can be utilized for the amount of $12,000. I just currently don't have it before me.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
And I'd like to follow up. I recognize that we got $325,000. I just want to make sure that I understand where the money's coming from and that we have enough. So $12,000 isn't a large amount of money, but I just want to make sure I understand correctly where that money is coming from, which line, what pot of money. And so that's why I wanted to follow up question.
I have a question. With the signature tennis courts, are they also gonna take care of the asbestos when they do the renovation? Or is that an additional cost?
No, ma'am, that's everything.
That's
in
included?
this solicitation. Yes, ma'am, they're gonna cover it, because if we do dig it up, then that's a way a lot more money. And we have the
Sorry, Ms. Shaw, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Just take it.
Yes, ma'am. So yes, that does include the asbestos.
Okay.
And what they'll do is they'll cover it, because when we did have the asbestos testing, it is down on levels 4 and 5. If we dig that up, that's a lot more money. We have to tent off the whole park, so we don't want to do that.
Are there any other questions? I would like to make a recommendation that we approve the renovations with the signature tennis courts.
Madam Chair, are you requesting a motion to be made for that approval?
I need a motion for approval.
I would like to make a motion that we approve this contract the way it is written for the renovations at the Park Lane tennis courts.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Anderson.
I was first in the shoot.
Lapine.
Yes.
Lindsay.
Yes.
Mobley.
No.
Singleton.
Yes.
Pinagopal.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you, members of the board. Next project.
Here, take mine.
He's still working on the motion.
Okay, the next contract is contract 0018. This was an invitation for bid. This is for HVAC replacements. It was an invitation for bid, simply because HVACs are a commercial item, it's not a construction item. Once again, this was advertised on Skibo and the RCRC website on 16 September. Questions were due to me on the 23rd of September. The bids were due to me on, the questions were due to me on 23rd September. The bids were due to me on 30 September. The solicitation was advertised for 14 days, but per policy 9045 that the board had approved, a minimum of 7 days, business days, is what we need to have the solicitation out there. So I just want to make the board aware of that. The intent of award was posted on 11 October on the RCRC website, and there was no protest that we received. There were 3 bidders, Southern Atlantic from Columbia, South Carolina, for $153,000. Comfort Experts from Lexington, $108,017. Davis Climate from Irmo, South Carolina, and that's $106,890. Therefore, since this is an IFB, it goes to the lowest bidder, and the lowest bidder was Davis Climate in $106,890. These HVACs are to replace the HVACs at Denny Terrace, Meadow Lake Park, North Springs Park, and Piney Grove Community Center. If there are no further questions.
I have a question. On your purchasing page, I noticed that the HVAC was advertised in June 17, 2021.
Those are for different locations.
Okay. And then the one for tonight, September 16th.
Yes, ma'am.
Was the other one ever approved, or whatever happened to that one?
Yes, ma'am, it was approved.
You remember when we voted on that?
We voted on it.
Do you remember when we voted on that? For the HVAC units?
I don't want to vote on it?
I said, do you remember when we?
No, I don't. That's why I asked.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying we didn't. We just had so much going on. Okay, I was just wondering why we had two bids so close to each other.
So Madam Chair, we request the board approve this contract as well.
I'm not ready to approve it yet. On the record of bid opening, part one, whose signature is that in the first line? It has Cecily Shaw on it, but the signature doesn't look like her signature.
What document are you looking at now?
That's on the HVAC. Part one, record of bids open and details read out. The first page was signed by Tamika
You
Williams.
talking about the bid opening documents?
Yes.
Right, yes. I sign it as a bid opener, and then we have a witness sign it.
So that's your signature?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you looking at the same one I'm looking at? So that's your signature there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you sound like that sometimes when you sign another one.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, when I'm in a hurry, and, yes.
It does look a little suspicious.
That's my signature.
See, that's not the same signature.
However, she did sign that document. There was no reason for us not to have her sign it, Madam Chair. That is her signature. I myself have been caught in the auditors telling me to make sure that I sign the same way all the time. So, and definitely that's why I understand your concern, but yes, that signature was done and witnessed by someone else.
Okay, so on part one and part two is the odd signature. I do have a concern with that because on the other signature pages, it's more legible.
Okay, I will make sure my signature is the same throughout every document from here moving forward.
I would like to share with the members of the board, this past summer was hot, as we all know, and we had a lot of issues at these facilities that are listed, where we had to move special events or events that were coordinated by the county. I specifically remember the issue at Meadow Lake when they had a big community meeting. And we've had issues. We have Tayana Henley here. She's our assistant park superintendent. But we have been strategically trying to repair these systems so that we can have spaces that are comfortable not only for our staff, but for our citizens that are utilizing these. The facilities that you see here listed, for instance, Denny Terrace is where our, not only do we have adaptive recreation programs, but we have a lease agreement with the Sheriff's Department. Meadow Lake is one of our oldest facilities, and we have had several issues where we have been band-aiding. North Springs Park is one of the busiest facilities where we've had additional issues, and finally Pine Grove Community Center.
Any questions?
Hello? I was called by one of the sheriffs that handles Denny Terrace a couple weeks ago, and he just informed me that they were having a community meeting there, and they actually had some citizen out of their pocket come and help repair some of the system just to get them through until we could do this. So I'm for trying to get this moved forward, and Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion when it's time.
Also, I have a question, on all of our contracts, where the preferences go for minority, women-owned, veteran-owned, I never see any statement on any of those groups as far as our contract bidding and how contracts are awarded. Is that a factor that y'all consider?
It is, that's why the preference is right there on the first, second page of the solicitation. And they circle that and they can provide that information.
They get extra points for that.
Right, they get a percentage off of their listing price that they get, yes. But if you actually look at so if you look at the actual solicitation for the HVACs, if you look on page 2, it says preferences, 2% minority, 2% women-owned, 2% veteran-owned, not to exceed 5%. They can use 2 of those preferences, but not to exceed 5%.
Madam Chair. Have any of them received awards? Minorities?
If they don't provide me that information, ma'am, I cannot award them that contract.
I think we need to correct our system so the minorities and the women-owned and the veterans are aware that we have contracts out for bids.
Right, it's on the second page.
Madam Chair, I will say that I spoke to minority-owned contract business owners this week about their ability to vote to bid on our projects. And they said that they did have the opportunity to bid on our projects, but they had selected not to because of the amount of business they were already engaged in. But they felt that they were able to utilize our system very well. So I just wanted to tell you that I personally spoke to minority contract-owned businesses
I just want
this
to make
week.
sure, because Richland County residents pay taxes, and I think they should be issued some of these contracts. And I know we do a lot of out-of-state contracts, and I mean, people in South Carolina, I think we have a lot of people here also, but they just aren't aware of when these bids are out. And I'm just recommending we make a better effort to, I guess, promote them or let them know when the contracts are out so they can put a bid in for them.
Madam
Maybe we
Chair.
can do a newsletter or like Mrs. Singleton suggested we have a job fair and show some of the people how to do the bidding if they're not aware of it. But I just want to advertise more in the communities in the state of South Carolina, in Richland County, and Lexington also.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question. I did read the preferences that are available and the percentages. On the PowerPoint slide that's listed before us, the 3 bids that we received, did they not receive any preference? It says no preference on all 3.
Right, they did not submit that they had any preferences.
Okay.
And if you also look on the solicitation on, start putting pages on here. If you look under A, J, if you look under FF, special instructions,
What page? Let me see.
I don't have a page number right now. If you look on page 10, oh, I'm sorry, page 11. On number 4, it actually has preferences. This tells you exactly what you need to claim that preference. These are the websites and their certificates that they need.
But the 3 bids we did receive, none of the bidders
None.
claimed the preference.
No,
So
ma'am.
that just- Okay.
No, ma'am.
Any other questions? Comments?
Madam Chair, I just renew my comment. I sent an email to the board with my concern about making sure that we operate, of course, with the most transparency with regard to opportunities that are available to the minority, veteran-owned and women businesses. And it is slightly alarming that we don't, and I understand the process, so I understand it is incumbent upon the person that owns the business to provide that veteran or minority or woman-owned preference request. But I think with the vendor fair, it will give an opportunity. I think that several of our board members have echoed. I did put that in writing to you, Ms. Scholl, today. So I'd be interested in to see how things unfold with regard to making sure we share as many opportunities as we can. I know you're using the SCASBO website, I realize that. But just something that was more personal and more in-house for any of the potential licensed businesses that would like to do business with RCRC.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, one thing you may want to do is to review the whole procurement to make sure that we're doing everything we can. Now, I would say we have to be very careful legally to make sure you have state regulations that we have to follow, probably Richland County. But I think there are things that you can just sort of inventory to make sure you're doing everything. In my past experience, that was something that we did, but we have to be very strategic about it. A lot of the voluntary things, can be very helpful, and then you can have the maximum amount to make sure minority female businesses participate fully. I'll be glad to coordinate that with staff to make sure we review everything so it's legally permissible and is something that works well. And I think you're doing that, but it's always good to kind of review it and take the temperature to make sure that you're doing everything we can.
And yes, Commissioner Singleton, while your request was received, I do have responses to your email previously that's documented. And one of my things is that during hopefully the retreat, we can have continued dialogue about the potential of a fair.
Okay, y'all ready to vote on the contract?
Can you make a motion? Make a motion to accept the statement of award IFB 0018-2021 RCRC HVAC multiple locations. Go ahead and approve that bid.
I second that motion.
Roll call. Anderson,
Yes.
Lapine,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Mobley,
No.
Singleton,
Yes.
Denegolfo.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Madam Chair, the final request for approval is for the enterprise fund out at Linwood Golf Course for the bunkers. Ms. Shaw?
Turn it over to Matt Chrisman, our recreation superintendent, so he can give you a little background prior to me going over the contract.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I just have a short presentation to talk about why we're coming to do this project for the bunker repairs out at Linwood Golf Course. So the reason why we're doing this, or asking for the approval of the contract, is the bunkers have not been repaired in 38 years. We have a maintenance gentleman that is out there that says in his tenure, it's never been done. It's to improve the golfer experience. With water sitting in your bunkers, they have to pull their ball out, they can't hit out of the bunkers. It's not a good experience for the golfer. So we could potentially increase our rounds of golf with the improvements, because we would add sand to it, and it's easier to hit out of sand than to hit out of water. And then to help with weed control, because if we don't have enough sand in the bunkers, weeds come out the bottom of it, and then we're spraying chemicals to kill the weeds and that kind of stuff. So we just want to add more sand and repair the drainage out there as well. So then the scope of work, we're looking to get 30 bunkers repaired. These are greenside bunkers. So around each green where you tee off at the tee, and then you hit towards the flag, which is on the green. The 30 bunkers are around the green area, around the flag. So we would reestablish the bunker edges. In some of the picture that you see in the PowerPoint, you can see that the shape of the bunker is starting to come towards the bottom of the picture. So we're gonna make sure that the edge of the bunkers are more defined than what they currently are. And then we would remove the old sand material and put new sand material into the bunkers. And then we would repair the drainage system, so it would drain the water. So if we get rain if we get a rainfall, it'll come out the bunker instead of just sitting in the bunker. And then the sand will be added by our staff instead of having a contracted service come out. So we would have our staff put in the sand as well. And then I can take any questions if you have some. And I can stay up here. Cicely can go through the contract and I can answer any questions after she gets done with the contract presentation.
Just want to make a comment that I went out to Limerick probably about 90 days ago, and I had not been out there in a long, long time, and just toured the course with the Golf Pro, and it was very evident that the bunkers were in horrible shape. We have invested in the new golf carts out there. It's been a big plus that a lot of comments from golfers I know that have gone there really enjoyed that. So I think what we're trying to do is just, this is a very, obviously a good profit center for us. And I know that we want to, keep up with other golf courses, mainly like Oak Hills and some of the others in that area. So I would be in favor of getting this done based on what I've seen there.
So this contract is contract number 0019-2021. This was a request for proposal since it is a construction project. It was advertised on Skibo and the RCRC website on 14 October. The questions were due to me by 22 October. And the bids were due on 28 October. Therefore, it was solicited, and the solicitation was advertised for 15 days. Between 28 October and 2 November, that's when the RCRC employees graded the proposals. The tentative award went out on 3 November, which started the 10-day protest period, and we did not receive any protests.
How many bunkers do we have at the golf course?
There's 36.
There were 2 bids. The first one is Shape Masters from Southport, North Carolina. The second one was from Field Builders from Charlotte, North Carolina. And we also, since it is a construction project, I did have a mandatory pre-bid meeting on site at Limerick Golf Course for the bidders. See the score sheet below. Field Builders won the bid by 74 points. They had 74 points, and Shape Masters had 63. Therefore, the contract was awarded to Field Builders in the amount of $143,250.
any questions.
And that, yeah, so that money just specifically will come out of the enterprise
Yes,
capital
sir.
improvement grant.
If you recall, all funds that come into the enterprise are used for expenses as well.
Just for clarification, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Cicely. Now we turn it over to the board for your discussion and consideration. Thank you, Matthew, as well.
And we do have, approval for this amount out of the budget. I mean, it's a lot of it.
Again, it is the enterprise fund. It is all the fees that have been collected at Lindbergh will be used for the expense.
Of this,
So what you're saying is that the Leonard Golf Course would essentially be paying for its own renovation?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I do just have one question, and I apologize, I have limited, is it math? I'm sorry. My knowledge of golf is limited, I'm learning, but I do have a question. You mentioned in your presentation that the staff was going to add the sand to the bunker. So it is fair to say that moving forward, once the repairs have been done, if there's any sand that needs to be re-added, your maintenance staff that we have an org chart for, they are going to be responsible for the upkeep of the bunkers. I know it hasn't been fixed in a long time, if ever, but just moving forward, after these repairs have been made, is it safe to assume that the current staff would be responsible for the repairs or any other issues that you have with sand, grading, or water?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding this? Need a motion?
I make a motion that we award the contract for the Limerick Golf Course to repair the bunkers.
I second.
Roll call. Anderson,
Yes.
Lapine,
Yes. Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Mobley,
No.
Singleton,
Yes.
Pinagopal,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you, members of the board, for moving these three contracts forward. It would allow us the opportunity to make some much-needed repairs to our facilities. We truly appreciate your support and trust, and we will keep you abreast of the processes. The next item, Madam Chair, is my Executive Director's report. And Cornelia will distribute
Madam Chair.
this document.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
say something before you go. Before we go into the other business. Say something about new business.
Madam Chair, what you have before you is my written report that will be added to the documentation. The first portion of my written report is in response to Commissioner Singleton, had an email today that requested some additional information regarding our processes. You'll see here my response, and the staff is ready to and prepared to provide you with the information when you want it, and however you want it and what method. We just need some further direction. In the past, it was about maybe 48 hours, so we're trying to get it out within a week. There were some changes to this last packet, so in my attempt to try to get ahead of that, after we had our meeting, myself along with our co-chair, I provided the board with additional information. If that was not the proper way to send that information, I just need clarification on how you all would like to receive the information. In addition, the questions that were asked about the RFP process are included, as well as the vendor fair. And attached, you will find emergency management policy that was approved by the board in April of 2020. You'll find a memorandum from myself specifically regarding the reopening plans for the agency, with the plan to bring a report back to the board at its December meeting to provide you with the information that you previously had
approved for the phase reopening. However, we want to make recommendations for coming back to full service, and we need to do a little bit more research before I bring that back to you. Lastly, well not lastly, something that's very important that we've been facing and has been happening all across this county. We are suffering from thefts of our catalytic converters out of our vehicles. So we're working with our risk management staff to identify the best way to secure our vehicles. And it was a little disheartening when we did speak to the Sheriff's Department. They're saying they're getting us to. So we're really trying to figure out the best way, and we're looking at, from a facility perspective, extending our fencing and putting vehicles behind the fence, but we've had trouble with people even cutting the fence. But I wanted to provide you with an update that we did have these issues, and it occurred again over this weekend, and I'll provide you with another report when we have recommendations on how to deal with this, but we are working closely with the Sheriff's Department. The foundation's finances are attached, as well as we're currently doing board recruitment. I did provide you with a written application, but I'm more than happy to send it to you via email so you can share it with some of your friends and colleagues that you think would be a wonderful addition to our 501c3. And that concludes the executive director's report, and I submitted for filing.
On the foundation board application,
Yes, ma'am.
I object to having race on there.
Okay.
I thought I discussed that with you before. So you could eliminate that.
Oh, well, ma'am, I can't just eliminate that. I would need to take it to the board for the actual foundation. Remember, they're two separate boards. And the current board for the foundation approved the application with two different entities.
Did you select two commissioners to serve on that foundation board?
That is the responsibility of the chair and vice chair. You are to identify two representatives to serve as ex officio non-voting members to the foundation board. That is your responsibility, and I will work with those individuals as you identify them.
But to be clear, if you're on this board, you cannot be a voting member of the other board.
Oh, yes.
Exactly. No, ma'am.
Oh, not a, okay, the foundation, used to have two board members.
Yes, ma'am. And according to the foundation's bylaws, they are ex officio members with non-voting.
Right, they don't vote, but they do serve on the committee.
Yes, and the question was, could they vote, and I was clarifying that for him.
All right, let's see. Under policy 118,
Madam Chair, I have a question
Okay.
about the, I'm sorry, before you move on, I have a question about the foundation. Can you, who currently serves on the foundation board? Are you saying we need to appoint them, or we have members?
We have 3 active members.
And who are those members?
I'll provide you with the list and their information, Commissioner Singleton.
But they act as a separate board.
Yes,
with
ma'am.
2 ex officio officers from our board.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're saying this application that we got was something that that particular board previously created, and so
Yes,
any
ma'am.
amendments, therefore, I understand now, Chancellor, thank you.
You're welcome. That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
okay, policy 118,
Yes.
can I back up to that?
Sure.
You're saying you're going to, change that when?
Change what?
I requested that all of the senior staff, custodians, and maintenance people return to work every Friday.
Yes, ma'am, you made the request, but as you recall, we have to bring it back to the board. It's a part of a policy that the board approved, and we would have to pull that policy back and take us out of emergency. You do have a copy of the policy that is within your packet, and when the board did approve the policy, it gave me the authority to make the schedules of the facilities based off of the pandemic. So what I've stated in my memorandum is that I want to come back to the board with the goal of reopening all of our facilities back at full capacity, meaning the hours of operation, not the numbers of individuals, after the holidays.
How about before the holidays? Why are you waiting until after the holidays? You have been out every Friday for how many months?
Madam Chair, I think that there's quite a concern about COVID and the risk of the Lambda variant coming out, especially around Thanksgiving and the holidays. And as Lakita had indicated earlier, it is because of the surge in the virus around time of holidays that she had said that.
The people in the parks are more.
They are not working full schedules. No one in this agency, with the exception of our property management. We have, as I indicated in my in my memo, there has been a drastic cut and a compressed schedule to ensure that staff have the time to get the facilities clean. As I shared with you and you and I talked one-on-one along with the vice chair, is that my concern is we have already had 85 RCRC employees that have been exposed, with 2 unfortunately no longer here with us. It is my goal to continue to monitor, but to bring back to the board, which the board did approve the phase reopening plan, what next phase would be, and that would include the January phase.
Now, you're getting paid full-time, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not working full-time if you're
I
working
work full-time, and the individuals that report to me still work full-time.
Madam Chair, when we voted on this earlier, we said that they would continue carrying on their office hours, but they would do it remotely on Fridays.
We'll discuss this later. I'd like to discuss that issue in executive session. Or I can't do it.
You can add a
Okay.
discussion. It just takes a 2/3 vote to do it during the meeting if it wasn't on there. Since there won't be a vote or a final, it won't be a vote, much less a final, it doesn't require the emergency. So I would, if you want to vote to add a discussion, and the executive session, this would be of a policy, it would have to be a legal, in executive session, you'd have to have, a legal or personnel issue rather than just, the policy. You could add the policy discussion to the agenda with no vote, with the 4 members voting for it. If you wanted to add the policy discussion in the executive session, it'd have to have a component to it of legal advice or personnel matter, more not just a policy personnel, but an individual personnel. So you might want to do it, just have a discussion of it, just add it to the agenda. If you wanted to do the legal, it might be best to wait till Joseph Dickey got here, because he does the employment part of it, and I'm sure that is a significant component of any kind of employment policy.
Okay. Because I don't understand how people can, you getting paid for full-time, but you're only working 4 days a week. But people in parks are still working, and custodians and also the maintenance people are off every Friday, is that correct?
We work off the standard compressed schedule, and it depends on the events for that particular week.
Okay, we'll discuss it.
Madam Chair, does it require a motion to add, Mayor Bob, does it require a motion to add that discussion to the executive session agenda, or can we just add it to the agenda?
I would add it to the agenda, if you want to discuss it
Just for
further.
discussion, correct?
Yeah, just for discussion. I would add it to the agenda. I don't think it would fit under executive session.
Okay.
Unless you had a legal question about whether the policy in COVID. So for example, on executive session, there was legal advice about COVID-19. I think you're not having that because the Fifth Circuit, held it all up. But barring that, I would just discuss it, and you can add it for discussion. Now, what you can't do is take action to say we want to change it, or we want to do something. You have to, that has to be on the agenda within the 24 hours.
Do you have that with you? I don't know.
What you may want to do is simply put it on the next agenda, and so you could have action on it if you wanted to. Or if you wanted a special call meeting, which I wouldn't think you would. But in other words, discussing it and then having action available would seem to be preferable, a better use of the time.
Okay, we'll schedule it for December agenda.
And if you do it on the December, I also would have Joseph look, are there any legal issues that ought to be discussed? And those should be in executive session.
So we're through with the executive director's report?
Yes, we are.
Any questions, comments?
Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Watson, for responding to my email that I sent earlier today in writing. I just want to make sure I understand. So the request to have the packet to me with 5 business days to review it prior to the meeting, is the answer yes or no?
The answer is yes, that can occur. However, with the caveat that something could change and we would have to update it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes your, the record.
Who's Miss Jamie Russell?
I'm sorry? Oh,
Who's
she's,
Miss Jamie
it's
Russell?
her report now.
Which one is Miss Russell?
Right.
You Miss Russell?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I just want to know who you were.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay, now, since we
Good evening, Madam Chair, and to the rest of the board. Of course, it is my privilege this evening, to present to you some of the events that we have had in RCRC. While we do have some annual events that are coming up in December, so we hope there's a packet that we gave you this evening with all of our upcoming events for November. And then we also have some upcoming events that will be coming up for the holidays. But in this past, month, we have had quite a few different events that have occurred. First, we have our late night hoops. We found that in just across the nation, there are several markets that many agencies are struggling to be able to accommodate, and one has been our teens. And so we are very, very excited that on the other night at Blythewood Park, on October the 22nd, that we were able to have 38 participants for our late night hoops, which started, I'm sorry, the slide is incorrect. It started at 9 p.m. and it went until 11 p.m. on Friday, October the 22nd. There were 38 participants there, as well as our staff served as coaches for that evening. And so this is one of the programs that we have brought back, and we are very, very proud of this success and very thankful to Jue, who is over at the Blythewood Park, who executed this program along with other team members. Also, over at St. Andrews Park, the agency has been collecting coats for a cause. And so there were 5 locations where coats were being collected. And then on November the 6th, the coats were handed out. So we had 75 participants to come, and we were able to distribute 45 coats. Of course, because donations came in different sizes, we were not able to accommodate everyone, but everyone that was able to fit a coat was able to leave with a coat. Of course, with the Halloween season that was around in October, we had several Halloween events that took place throughout the entire county. There were hundreds and hundreds of ghouls and goblins and witches everywhere. And so our staff was very elated to provide these events. Some of them were drive-through events. Some of them were socially distanced events inside of our gymnasiums. But our staff did a phenomenal job making sure there was some Halloween fun for all of the trick-or-treaters in Richland County. One of our signature events that with our sponsor, Metro by T-Mobile, was meet and greet the characters. So we had 7 characters from Pikachu to Cocky from the USC Gamecocks, and 5 other characters that were at the Kaufman Road Park on October the 30th from 5 to 7. There were 212 participants at this event. And so we are very elated to have Metro by T-Mobile for this event. I do also want to say thank you to Councilman Derek Pugh, who also assisted with the late night hoops at Blythewood Park. He was able to donate pizza and provided a DJ for our participants at that event. October 24th, of course, October is the month of breast cancer awareness, and so RCRC really cares about different initiatives that are recognized throughout the nation. And so we had our Tackle Breast Cancer event out at the Garners Ferry Sports Complex. There were it was $25 per person to play, and so it included a t-shirt, and I think we had over 40 players that played on that evening. So we're really excited about that, and moving forward, we look forward to having an opportunity to make donations towards other events with breast cancer awareness, and so we are working towards how we can actually put those events together in the future. And so that concludes my report for tonight, but I do want to invite you, for those that are watching and for those that are here in person, if you have not liked us on social media, please make sure that you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as on Twitter. And of course, the meetings that we have tonight are loaded up in about 2 days after we make sure that we have all of the information together, and they are placed on our YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. So thank you. That concludes my report for tonight. Yes, sir.
Hey, I was looking through this book, and I see a lot of flyers and whatnot in my business, and I just wanted to compliment you. This is done really nice, and it's probably some of the best work I've seen in the 3 years, so I want to compliment you.
Awesome, thank you. That is because of our great team members. Our team in recreation are doing great programming, and our community relations division is making sure that they look well and appeasing. And to Ms. Leslie, who is putting those flyers together.
I too like to follow up and say that I've seen some of the graphics, and just, it is impressive. I follow you guys on social media platform as well, and it looks really nice. So shout out to you, Jamie, and to the team. Thank you so much. It really does look nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say that I am very excited by a lot of the work you guys are doing. It speaks to the professionalism of our organization that we have such a wide variety of events going on, from team basketball to children's events with Trick or Trunk, and the breast cancer awareness flag football. So thank you guys for a professional organization that has that provides our citizens with the diverse opportunities in parks and recreation.
Thank you. Oh yes, we do have coming up Richland County High School Player of the Year. We've kind of changed the name of it. It is an excellent event if you have never participated. It will be virtual. So we're actually started taping this week. Taping started today. This morning. And so we're really excited about that event. All of our news anchors, sports news anchors, help to vote and get the word out about this event. So right now we are doing it for football. And so we hope to expand that programming. We've got sponsors already on board, and so that will air on December the 2nd. So you'll see that live on Facebook on December 2nd. And I will say, too, the media is very responsive. Once that winner is announced, we actually have a press conference right after that event live, so that all of the newscasters are able to talk to that winner on that night. And so it offers a $2,000 scholarship through donations that we receive. So we're really excited about that event. So please follow us on social media to see all the great things we have coming up in the holidays. Yes, ma'am.
Jamie, the press conference with the winner, is that virtual or
Yes,
is that?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of COVID, it is virtual.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. But you can watch it live on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Mobley.
Okay, in this other business, I would like to have a copy of the executive director's contract.
Mr. Mobley, I do not have a contract.
Okay.
We can discuss this in executive session, please.
Okay.
If you wanted, you need to add that, if you only have might not need to discuss whether there is a contract or not. But,
She just said there's no contract, so
Right.
there's no problem.
yeah.
Yeah. But we want this on the next agenda though.
Any other comments before we go into executive session?
Madam Chairman, I think the executive session item on the COVID vaccine is, Joseph Dickey is not here, and the federal.
It's not up there. We took it off.
Uh,
The only thing up there is the compliance officer that the chair
Okay,
requested.
yeah.
Yeah, we have. So is Joseph gonna, discuss the COVID vaccine, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, the Fifth Circuit, US Fifth Circuit, it's on appeal and they have restrained any implementation of it. So I think the executive session was, how are you going to do that? Well, it's not, it may happen later, but as you know, Governor McMaster has prohibited that. And unless the US courts required it, or allowed the Biden administration to require it, there wouldn't be an issue.
Okay, we don't require it, but I hope we strongly suggest that they take it.
You could do that, but McMaster has ruled that,
I know,
Yeah.
I keep up with him.
and there are 14 bills that were pre-filed this past week, prohibiting testing, vaccine, you name it, is prohibited. Now that has to be enacted, but
But we can still encourage,
you absolutely.
and I encourage all employees to please take it if you haven't had it, and please, with your whole family, it should be encouraged. I've had my booster, and I hope everyone else has had theirs.
Bob, as a point of order, can we put an evaluation of the executive director on the agenda or just on the executive session?
That's a,
Well,
that's
wait a
a.
minute, you would, evaluation of a particular employee, you couldn't do it tonight, I mean, but if you mean for the future,
For the next meeting?
certainly you can do that.
You handle that. The executive, our chairwoman will be in charge of doing that evaluation.
Well, let me say this, there are two things here. If you're doing the evaluation, the way it has normally been done is the chairperson, in this case chairwoman, sets up and you have forms and you have all of that.
Well, that's why I want
If
to
that's
have a
what you're
retreat.
asking.
I know, but that's why I want to have a retreat. So
Yeah.
all of this
Chairman,
information
yeah.
will be covered, because there's a lot of things that the new
Commissioner Mobley.
members aren't aware of.
We need to know where the executive director stands. You know, I don't know her powers, and I need to know her powers.
Okay, we'll discuss that in a
So if I have to make a motion to put her on the next agenda, then I can do that.
Madam Chair, could we move into executive session? at this
Yes,
time?
that's what I stated. We can discuss this.
Go on in
in
the other
executive
room.
session. We don't have to discuss it.
We don't have to make a motion to go
Hold
into
on
executive
one
session.
second.
We just go into.
The chairwoman can add anything to the agenda, as can two members, of course, before the next meeting. So what I would suggest is working with the chairwoman to see if what you want to be on the agenda, can be fashioned in a way that's agreeable, and if not, if the chairwoman doesn't do that, you could have two people, certainly call a meeting, but you could also have two people add something to the agenda.
I'd like to explain this to you once we get an executive session. It is a process, and we
Well,
do have.
we should have had the
We have
process
certain dates,
up
we
by
have
now.
certain dates that we do evaluation, so.
What I'm trying to tell you is this is a new board, and we don't want to go by what the last board did. You done gave me a whole bunch of papers, and I think this is disrespectful, and you want me to spend the public's money on something I know nothing about. Everything they're doing is from the last board. I know nothing about it. I'm not going to spend the public's money behind it. So I need to bring up to speed on what we're doing. I don't even know nothing about the executive director. She just told me she ain't got no contract, so we need to work on that. Because we got 4 new board members here. We outnumber the old board members, so we got 4 new board members on the board, and that means that we can't continue to do what the old board did. We knew We don't want to continue to do what the old board did. We don't know what they did. So I'm not gonna put my name out there and vote for hundreds of thousands of dollars of public money for something that they did I don't know nothing about. And that's why I wanna put this executive director on the next agenda, and we're gonna figure out what we need to do about it, because I don't want nobody, nobody that I'm supposed to be their boss telling me what to do. That's not gonna work for me.
I would recommend having the chair see if you can fashion whatever needs to be done.
Any other questions or comments before we go into executive session?
I make a motion that we move into executive session.
We just move.
That the executive session
You just
item
go out
is
of it.
the compliance officer, and that has to be,
Yes.
yes, and that needs to be a legal discussion, you know, of compliance officer. I'm assuming you don't have a individual, that'd be a personnel matter, but it should be a legal discussion.
Okay, what we were going to discuss tonight was the job description that was presented to us.
I think that would be under the
Right.
legal discussion.
Right.
Because it's under the bylaws, I think that generally speaking
Right.
would be under
The
the legal
board gets to
discussion.
select compliance officer. So, would you like to come to our
We just
executive
go.
session?
We
Is
don't
that
have
what
to
you're
vote on,
saying?
we just go out of session.
I would just move to go in executive
You just say
session for the item on the agenda, which is a legal
Roll
discussion.
call.
Yes.
Anderson, Lapine,
Yes.
Lindsay,
Yes.
Mobley,
Yes.
Singleton.
Yes, ma'am.
Benigokel.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion passed.
I want to thank everybody for coming and giving your time tonight. We appreciate everything you do for us, and I know it's a lot of work. Stephen, would you?
Oh, yeah. We discussed the position in executive session, and no motions or decisions were made. And so we'd like to end the meeting, and we'd like to move out of executive session. So I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn our meeting.
I second.
Roll call. Anderson.
Yes.
Singleton. Who? Singleton.
Oh, yes.
Lindsay.
Yes.
Mobley.
Yes.
Benigokel.
Yes, ma'am.
Lapine.
No.
Motion passed.